Hi guys, welcome back. Today, we're heading deep into Guizhou's mountains.
Here, roads don't just cross land, they literally fly over it. Listen to the story of this epic bridge.
It's one of the most extreme projects ever, built right over a terrifying canyon above the Beipan River. Surrounded by crazy steep cliffs, heavy fog, the drop is so huge the river looks like a tiny silver thread. Before we dive in,
smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and follow us for crazy engineering stories. Because what you're seeing
Isn't just a bridge. It's a total war against human ambition, brutal terrain, and gravity. The Huajiang Bridge was
Built for one reason, connecting roads over an impossible canyon. Over here in Guizhou, nature is stunning, but mountains shoot straight up, valleys cut deep, cliffs are unstable and crazy hard to reach. Building a normal road here means non-stop curves, deadly mountain roads, massive detours, and super slow travel across China's toughest terrain. So engineers picked a
totally different fix. Don't go around, go straight over. But to pull that off, they had to build a bridge at a crazy,
a bridge rocking two massive towers standing on opposite mountain slopes, giant anchorages buried deep in solid rock,
thick vertical hanger cables dropping straight down, and a deep steel truss deck just hanging in midair. No support from the canyon floor at all. Just towers, cables, steel, concrete, and extreme precision. The first stage, not flat,
but totally crucial. Surveying the mountain, before pouring any concrete, before lifting a single piece of steel, engineers
checked the rock layers, measured slopes, and tracked wind behavior inside the valley. In a spot like this, one bad guess could...
Then came the access roads. Crews literally carved temporary dirt roads right into the mountain slopes, so massive machines,
steel, and cranes could hit the tower zones. These roads aren't part of the final bridge, but without them, nothing happens. Next up,
workers dug deep into the steep slopes to craft stable tower bases. These foundations gotta carry the insane
cables, the deck, and moving traffic. Rebar cages were dropped in, concrete poured in stages. The bases
locked right into the rock. Behind each tower, another vital system was built, the mountain anchorages. These
of a suspension bridge. Main cables don't just hang in the air, they gotta be yanked back and locked into something absurd to fight crazy tension. At Huajiang, that meant pouring massive concrete anchor blocks straight into the rock slopes, with cable and channels prepped for the main cable system. Only after foundations and anchorages were primed could the towers finally lift by lift, using climbing formwork. Each chunk was rebar packed, poured, cured, checked, and then slowly, the tower legs burst above the canyon. At first glance, they just looked like twin vertical concrete shafts poked. Then lower crossbeams linked the legs up, giving each massive tower hardcore stability. False work propped these beams up.
During the build, once the concrete got tough enough, all those temp supports got yanked out. The towers just kept climbing.
More lifts poured, higher platforms added. Stair towers and temp access systems climbed up with the skeleton. Then came
another huge milestone.
Crews slapped in embedded sleeves, temporary brackets, starter segments, dense rebar, concrete dumped at high elevation, cured, stripped, inspected, and finally, all the false work was ripped out. Now the towers
were way more than vertical legs. They morphed into massively strong, connected frames, totally locked and loaded.
But hey, a suspension bridge dies without its most vital gear, the cable saddle. Right at the top, crews sculpted these things had to be insanely precise. The future main cables blast over the towers through steel saddles, so every
concrete surfaces were ground flat, leveled, double-checked, packed with anchor bolts, plates, grout, and finally
these saddles will guide the monster main suspension cables over the towers. Now the bridge boasted towers, anchorages, but get this, nothing crossed the canyon yet. The next stage kicked off with something crazy tiny, a pilot rope.
A super light rope got dragged from one anchorage, hauled up to the first tower saddle, shot straight across the canyon,
over the second saddle, and plunged down into the opposite anchorage. That tiny first line was nothing reaching across open air. Using that pilot rope, crews hauled over beefier ropes. Then boom, the catwalk.
A catwalk is a sketchy temporary walkway strung up for workers during cable construction. Support ropes stretched across the canyon.
Mesh panels slapped down, hand ropes and safety nets locked in. Finally, a ultra-narrow path hooked both sides of. Just picture walking on a flimsy metal net dangling thousands of feet above a river, surrounded by wicked wind.
That was the hardcore office for the cable crew. Next up, the main cables. Unlike what most folks think, these beasts weren't. No way! They were spun out of tons of individual, insane strength wires, dragged across the gorge, dumped over the saddles.
Slowly, these loose wire bundles beefed up. First, the massive main cable alignment, then the second.
Once they had enough wires, bam! The bundles were squashed into perfect round cables. Hydraulic brute force machines, temporary ties locked them down. Then wrapping machines spun protective wire and anti-corrosion armor all over them.
Boom! The bridge flaunted its 2 killer parabolic main cables. But the actual road deck still didn't exist.
Next up, the cable bands. These heavy, hardcore steel clamps got slapped on, at perfect intervals along the main cables.
Each band became the lock point for the vertical hanger cables. Crews bolted the band halves around the wrapped cables, cranked them tight, checked the exact spacing, and rigged them up for the hanger system. Then the vertical hangers plunged down. One by one, ropes bombed down from the cable bands toward the empty abyss, where the bridge deck would soon hang.
At this exact stage, the beast finally looked like a real suspension bridge. Towers, main cables, and rows of.
Now came the massive steel truss deck. Deep steel truss segments got slapped together in mountainside. Each chunk held main truss members, cross beams, lower bracing, and heavy lifting points. Cranes and cableway rigs.
Right under the hangers! The very first segments were locked in near the towers. Then more got slammed in.
From both sides, the suspended steel truss deck crept outward toward the dead center of the span. Every single segment
had to be perfectly aligned, bolted, hooked to hanger cables, and locked down before the next chunk dropped in.
As the 2 massive deck arms crept toward each other, one final gap stayed open dead center. This was the ultimate
make or break moment in the whole build. The final closure segment was lifted straight into that tiny gap. Crews tweaked the geometry, checked thermal expansion, lined up the steel cords, blasted the bolts in, and locked both halves together solid. At that,
the suspended deck became one solid, continuous monster across the canyon. The impossible road was finally hooked up. But wait,
it wasn't ready for cars yet. Steel deck panels had to be slapped down across the truss. Joints got welded and blasted with bolts.
temp catwalks ripped out, waterproofing sprayed on. Then steaming hot asphalt was paved from both sides, rushing to the middle.
Barriers, guardrails, massive drainage setups, crazy expansion joints, lighting poles, and high-tech electrical sensors got jammed in.
Then, the ultimate test. Before any regular car could touch it, engineers demanded brutal proof. Heavy
sensors tracked cable sag, hanger jerks, tower flex, deck dips, wild vibrations, and expansion joint tweaks, static load tests. Then dynamic tests. Trucks ripped across at controlled speeds. Engineers hawked the data. Every single cable
was behaving exactly as designed. Only after smashing those tests did the bridge open for real. The very first controlled car.
Then traffic exploded. Finally, the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge became what it was always destined to be. A bridge where cars and rigs glide buttery smooth over a brutal canyon. The same gorge that used to force drivers in. A beast held purely by towers, anchors, saddles, main cables, hangers, and a just pure physics.
A bridge that turned one of China's most savage landscapes into a straight-shot connection. What makes this project totally insane isn't just its massive height, it's the crazy sequence. Every piece had to drop in perfect order. Foundations before towers, towers before saddles,
saddles before pilot ropes before catwalks, catwalks before main cables before hangers, hangers before the truss deck, deck before paving. Paving before brutal testing, testing before regular traffic. This is the hidden logic backing every...
From far away, the final bridge looks so simple. Just a graceful, elegant line slashing across.
But packed inside that tiny line is years of brutal surveying, crazy excavation, insane amounts of concrete, steel, cable spinning,
brutal testing, and absolute hardcore human guts. And that is exactly why the Huajiang Grand Canyon...
It's a massive statement. A statement that even in the most savage mountains, above the deepest valleys, engineering can forge a path where... If you got a kick out of this insane ride inside one of Earth's most extreme bridge builds, do not forget to hit subscribe
and follow the channel for way more cinematic stories covering the absolute greatest engineering stunts on the planet. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch...